We have 1.4 million active duty military in the United States. It sounds like a lot, but in a room of 100 people, that's less than half a person. If you add in active reserve, you can round up to 1%. That's one person in a room of 100 to protect everything that we cherish, just one. The one signs up and takes what they love most in this world and carry it in a 2x3 photo, knowing that they may never see them again. Every day, the one laces their boots, puts on their vest, gear, and picks up a rifle. They put that photo in their pocket, Velcro a U.S. flag on their shoulder, and they search for bullets, bombs, and trouble, stand in front of them and crushes them, all so that we can have our coffee in the morning. They search for bullets, bombs, and trouble. They crush them so we can complain about traffic on 256. And they search for bullets, bombs, and trouble so we can stay free. If that is the mission of the one, what is the mission of the 99? What do the 99 search for and crush? There are times, very relative in this past year over the fall, where the one may start to hesitate, doubt, question their duty, show sadness in their face, maybe a tear in their eye. It's the mission of the 99 to put on our suits and ties, our t-shirts and our flip-flops, and search, hunt down that hesitation, doubt, and sadness, and crush them. The mission of the 99 is to have the back of the one to make sure they never, ever doubt the service was nothing but honorable. Our mission is to show Gold Star families, veterans, and the one that we do appreciate and honor their service. So right now, let's take a moment to honor their very symbol, our symbol of freedom, that they protect and serve by saying the pledge together. Line, Fred.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Line, Bob. Communication, please.
Bow our heads, please. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you we have the opportunity to gather together. A lot of places on this earth they cannot enjoy this fellowship. We thank those that served before us, and we fit in with our motto that we serve. Let us continue to serve the Pickerington community with our service and our care and our love for our fellow man. And we thank those that have gone before us that we have the ability to do this. We ask that you will bless the food, the strength of our minds and bodies. Ask us to thank you for the blessings you bestowed upon us. In your loving name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. All right. So welcome everybody. Veterans, active U.S. military, new Lion Club members. And I don't think we have Zoom, but we do have FaceTime Live, so be careful what you say. What you say in this room does not stay in this room. For those that are not part of the Lions Club, we do meet the second Thursday of every month right here in the Combustion Brewery Loft. Our group of vice presidents and board of directors, they do a great job organizing these events, and thank you very much for organizing everything for us tonight. Our mission as Lions is to serve the community. Our mission tonight is to serve our veterans. I'm going to briefly go through some club stuff real quick, and then we'll get on to our speakers. So, club activities and service projects. We've done a lot of stuff over the last month or so just to remind us, and some new here. So the Scarecrow Trail that was set up, it was an awesome lion scarecrow display at the corner of Hill Road, right by Monroe Spa. If you had a chance to see it, so thanks for you guys to put that up. The desserts that we've provided to the American Legion Post 283 for the monthly steak dinners. I've done that twice, so thank you very much for that. We had a food drive for Byron Sounders Foundation where we collected 250 items in a variety of gift cards, and they've already been collected and delivered. Is that right, Lion Scott?
Correct.
Delivered? Yep.
Yes.
Fantastic. We had our 75th anniversary. Our club started in 75 math? 46? Started in 1946, which is incredible, and we had our 75th anniversary dinner. It was attended by over 10 clubs in the area and over 60 people. It was a great night. And on October 28th, right here, we had Candidates Night, where we provided a forum for about 16 different political candidates to share their message, agenda, and vision. And some of them actually got voted in office, imagine that, a few days later. So that was a great night. It was great to hear from them. Can everybody hear me okay? Is this mic set up? Good spot? Ongoing service projects through July 2022. So our line year starts in July every year. So from July 21 through July 22. So far, we've collected over 1,000 glasses. We're collecting plastic bags, and if we get to 500, we get a bench, which is kind of a cool thing. We'll put a bench somewhere, and I think we can make that goal. And pill bottles, we're almost cracking 100. But the pill bottles go to countries that, even though they get medicine and they get pills, they don't have a way to easily distribute it across their lands. So these pill bottles help them do that. And most recently, the board has approved over $7,000 of donations to various organizations that are listed here. We do that every year, and this year we were able to crank that number up quite a bit because we had a fantastic Labor Day event, and we've done some really good fundraising so far this year. So a lot of these different places benefited from that. So thank you for that. And occasionally we do a trivia. We're going to do that right now. Okay. So a question to the room. 3 people can answer. Just raise your hand, give an answer, and we'll see who's closest. And if you win, you get a free raffle ticket. If you added up the number of years serving as a lion for each of the members, all the members that are currently lions, how many years would that be serving? So pick a number.
325.
How many?
325.
325. That's one number, and you lost it. It's too low. Okay.
2,000.
Nick.
1,406.
1,406, and I heard
2,000.
2,000. Okay. Well, if you added up all, it was current members, and that number is 785. I think Nick wins again. But the really cool thing about that number 785 is when you take out all the new members, which we have 11 new members, and their number is 0. That's 15 years per person. 15 Labor Days, 15 July 4th, tens of thousands of glasses. That's just like a lot of stuff that the Lions Club does for the community. I think that was an impressive number. Speaking of impressive numbers, there is someone here that has served. Actually, they probably really screwed up the average, because I think he's been a Lion for 50 plus years. Lion Bob Cope. I think he has a few words to say.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. You are.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
All right. Now, he said that he was ready. And he didn't mind if I used him as a little bit of an example. Lion President Dave went up to heaven. And he God said, you've done such a great job here on earth that he said, I'm going to let you have a wish to go wherever you'd like to go. And so he said, well, I've never been to Hawaii. But I don't like to ride ships because they might sink. I don't like to ride airplanes because they might fall down. So could you build a highway between California and Hawaii? And God says, I don't know. He says, that takes a lot of time, a lot of equipment, and a lot of engineering. And he said, I'll give you another wish. He said, I'll definitely grant this one for you. So he said, all right, would you tell me why women think the way they do? And God says, do you want 2 lanes or 4 lanes? Okay, I have some military items, and they might not mean a whole lot if you were not in the military or into some kind of a structured discipline. But these are quotes from military people. Aim towards the enemy. These are actual instructions. Aim towards the enemy. When the pin is pulled, Mr. Grenade is not your friend. Cluster bombing from B-52s is very, very accurate. The bombs are guaranteed to always hit the ground. If the enemy is in range, so are you. A slipping gear could let your M203 grenade launcher fire when you least expect it. That would make you quite unpopular with what's left of your unit. It generally is inadvisable to eject directly over the area you just bombed. Try to look unimportant. The enemy may be low on ammo. Tracers work both ways. 5-second fuses only last 3 seconds. Bravery is being the only one who knows you're afraid. Your attack is going too well. You're walking into an ambush. No combat-ready unit has ever passed inspection. Any ship can be a minesweeper once. Never tell a platoon sergeant you have nothing to do. Don't draw fire that irritates the people around you. If you see a bomb technician running, try to keep up with him. A man is recovering from surgery when a surgical nurse appears and asks him how he's feeling. I'm okay, but I didn't like the 4-letter words the doctor used in surgery, he answered. What did he say? Asked the nurse. Oops. While shopping the vacation clothes, my husband and I passed a display of bathing suits. It had been at least 10 years and 20 pounds since I had even considered buying a bathing suit, so I sought my husband's advice. What do you think? I asked. Should I get a bikini or an all-in-one? Better get a bikini, he replied. You never get it all in one. He's still in intensive care. The great sight service was barely finished when there was a massive clap of thunder, followed by a tremendous bolt of lightning accompanied by more thunder rumbling in the distance. The little old man looked at the pastor and calmly said, "She's there." The little boy went up to his father and asked, "Dad, where did I get my intelligence from?" The father replied, "Well, son, you must have gotten it from your mother, because I still have mine." Mr. Clark, I have reviewed this case very carefully, the divorce court judge said, and I've decided to give your wife $775 a week. That's fair, Your Honor, her husband said, and every now and then I'll try to send her a few bucks. A doctor examining a woman had been rushed to the emergency room. Took the husband aside and said, "I don't like the looks of your wife at all." "Me neither, Doc," said the husband, "but she's a great cook and really good with the kids." An old man goes to the wizard to ask him if he can remove a curse he has been living with for at least 40 years. The wizard says, "Maybe, but you will have to tell me the exact words that were caused to put the curse on you." The old man says without hesitation, "I now pronounce you man and wife." 2 reasons why it's so hard to solve a redneck murder. The DNA all matches, there are no dental records. A blonde calls Delta Airlines and asks, "Can you tell me how long it'll take to fly from San Francisco to New York?" The agent replies, "Just a minute." "Thank you," the blonde says, and hung up. 2 Mexican detectives were investigating the murder of Juan Gonzalez. "How was he killed?" asked one detective. "With a golf club," the other detective replied. "A golf gun? What is a golf gun?" "I don't know, but it sure made a hole in Juan." That's the world of wisdom.
Thank you, Lion Bob. You've been working on that for 50 years, haven't you? All right. Lion Phil Reese, our membership chair, is going to come up and introduce our speakers. Thank you, Phil.
And I know what some of you are thinking. I hear your talk. Phil Reese, I took that in jeans. Be kind on me. When you post on Facebook, I understand I wasn't supposed to wear light color after November 1st. This is the only pair that I could find with expandable waistband to get my fat ass in. So be kind to me, please. First off, before I get started, can anybody tell me what the significance is of Veterans Day? You guys don't count. If I can, this is for another raffle ticket. We understand we're here to honor the men and women who served and who are serving, but why November 11th? Can anybody tell me that? I think Chris has his hand up.
Armistice Day.
Can you explain that?
World War I.
Could you stand up and explain it?
11th month, 11th hour, 11th day, 11th hour, World War I. They came to an armistice agreement with Germany. And in 1954, after World War II, they changed it to Veterans Day to honor all military vets.
It was Armistice Day. World War I was, at that time, a technological wonder. Came up with mustard gas, and that was the first war they used tanks. That was responsible for over 150,000 casualties. On November 11th, at the 11th hour, Germany, they signed the Armistice Agreement, which stopped the fighting. And then when did World War I end? Oh, come on, guys, you're killing me.
Like 6 months later.
Yeah, it was 6 months later, and then but the Armistice Agreement
They laid down their arms.
stop the fighting. So that's the true meaning of Veterans Day. Tonight we have an awesome opportunity to hear from those people a couple of guys that gave their all in the conflict. So first of all, I would like to another one. 10% of all the bar up here, all the bar is being donated to us, to be donated to you guys. So drink up. The more you drink, the more you so you have an excuse. So drink up. 10% of the bar up here is being donated to the Lions Club, so we can donate to your organization. So thank you very much. The first person I would like to, how weird is this? You want to talk about?
I'll tell it.
Okay, I'll leave it for you. Paul Shore, we have two organizations with us tonight, AMVETS and the DAV, Disabled American Vets. And there's a story behind that. Don and I were sitting on his patio one night drinking a beer, and Tom pulled up to us, and I'm like, we got to go talk to that guy. And Don's like, okay, let's go. So we went over there with a couple beers in our hand, and Tom came up with some awesome speakers. But the first one I would like to introduce is Paul Shore, and I'll let him do his bio because this is unbelievable.
I only got two short stories, and the first one was what Phil alluded to. So I came in and I met the guy that, asked us to come here, and we gracefully accepted. And he said, I want you to meet our membership driver, Phil Reese. And I said, I just need you to point him out to make sure it's not the Phil Reese my sister dated all the way through high school. And he goes, that's him over there. I'm like, nah, that ain't him. He comes over, and I was laughing with him, and I said, I just making sure you weren't the Phil Reese my sister dated. And he goes, where'd you go to high school? I go, Lancaster. I saw his eyes drop. He goes, what year? 83. He goes, what's your name? He goes, yeah, it's me. Are we okay? And I looked in the eyes and I could kind of see it. And I didn't want to say, yeah, I remember when I was like 15 years old and I woke up on a Sunday morning and my parents were out of town and your car was in our driveway and I didn't rat your ass out. I let it go. Black Nova, I can still remember it. Phil was a good guy. So the other story,
Dave's this point, I'm like, we okay? He's a big guy. So I'm like,
so the other story is I welcome all the vets. I'm glad they're here. I'm the commander of the American Legion, not the vets. Post 283 here in Pickering. This is Dave England, Commander ×2, our current chaplain. We're glad to be here. We love to serve the community. One other quick story. We're both Air Force. We think we chose right. That was affirmed when my son, who got down to Army, Air Force, I'm not going to be a Marine, I'm not going to be Coast Guard, went Army, and I said, that's fine. And he was a flight paramedic. He went to Afghanistan once, and he went to Iraq once, and he was coming back from Afghanistan, and he was out in Kabul, he was out in the crap. He said, Dad, when we got back to Turkey, we were out of the stuff. He said, when we got off, and our first sergeant said, we're done, we're out of harm's way, we're flying out in 2 days, we'll be back in the States. He said, you're not allowed to have alcohol. You're going to see everybody else with a beer in their hand. You can't drink until our plane lands, or I'll have your ass. And he said he was right. He said, Marines, Air. I said, I told you, Air Force. I would have had that beer. I'd have come out of my hotel room bar to get that beer. You screwed up. So anyway, but I thank him for his service. So I've been a member of the post here for 17 years. I retired out of the Air Force in 2001. I've been on the executive board for about 6 years, in different capacities. I'm the current commander. Dave has been a commander twice and is always involved, and he's my knowledge guy. I know I'm screwed if I call Dave and say, Dave, this came in the mail and I know what it is. And he goes, I don't know, you're talking about. I'm host. But Dave's been here forever. He actually built the original building with Abe Lincoln. It was log, it burned down when they had but he rebuilt it and it's good. So our history, we're named the David Johnson Memorial Post 283. David Johnson was the Pickerington graduate that was killed in Vietnam. Like you guys, we're not a paid position. It's all volunteers. All people are dedicated to serving the community and serving veterans. Just to give you an idea right now, projected what we'll have this year. As veterans, we've changed our creed where if you served one day, it used to be during a time of conflict. Now, if you serve one day active duty honorably, you can join our post. And that makes us a little different than some of the other organizations because we're trying to keep our post alive, but also recognize you signed on the bottom line to be a veteran. We're going to recognize that. But we're projected to have 650 veteran members, 200 Sons of American Legion, and 250 auxiliary. And the other two, if you're eligible under any immediate family member, you can join under the post. We are a nonprofit. I know you guys are talking about charities, so we have various fundraising or capital gaining venues within our Legion. And so when we get that money, we send it to the state of Ohio Legion. They take 10%, send it back to us. We split it 45% with the American Legion Post 283 charity, or 50%. So we only make, as a post, 45%. With the American Legion charities, they decide where it goes to, community, organizations, whatever. Just to share real quick, some of the ones we've done, this is just this year. Pickering Food Bank, Operations Vet Service, Faith Mission, Salvation Army, Disabled Veterans Association, American Heart Association, Fisher House, Boy State, Boy Scouts of America, Paralyzed Vets, and the Pickerington Music Boosters. So far, we've donated $7,615. In addition, it's now a joint vision. It was Legion Riders. But in July, we have a fundraiser that is a poker run, band, raffle, everything you can put in a day, named after one of our fallen vets that was a lifetime member that died from complications of Agent Orange, Gene Castro. You know Kessler Heating and Cooling? That's Gene Kessler. This year we raised $16,000. We've had 3 years, and we've raised $45,000. And it's 100% back out the door. Lastly, one way we remember our comrades, which is one of our biggest days, is Memorial Day. It's everybody's biggest day. So it's ceremonies, it's bands, it's food, it's music, it's everything all weekend. But on Memorial Day, it finishes with a ceremony in our parking lot with a stage and speakers. Senator Schaefer's a big supporter of it. Anytime he can be there, he's there. And this year, we have a Major General speaking. It's open to the public. We have a lot of events that are open to the public. You can always get on our post and see what's going on. Why it's so special is it's dedicated to David Johnson's company from Vietnam. They come back. Family comes back. And they usually they get in on Thursday, and they don't leave until after the ceremony on Monday. And the year before COVID, gentlemen came back from Vietnam that haven't seen each other since Vietnam. And I think that's pretty special. So that's what we do. If you have any questions, by all means, hit me up. Otherwise, I want to thank you for having us and hope your rest of your night goes great. All the veterans, if you please stand. Veterans, hey, hey! Hey, Post 238 salutes you. Thank you for your service. Order, arms. Have a good night, guys.
twice. Actually, 12 years during a period of time.
Only live so long, Dave.
Yeah, I served in the United States Air Force, 1960, 1964, early years of the Vietnam War. I am an atomic veteran. 1962 atomic bomb test, Christmas Island. Look it up. It's Operation Dominic. I was 2 miles from ground zero, and I still glow in the dark. The things that are important to us is we serve veterans. Veterans serving veterans. We check on our buddies. It's very important, especially in today's society, and the guys coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, PTSD. We ask them, how are you feeling today? Are you doing all right? Do you need for us to talk to someone for you? Is there somewhere that we can direct you to help you with your problem? But that's our job. We're veterans serving veterans. Our charities have decreased because of COVID. At one time, we were giving $30,000 a year to various charities, most of them veteran charities, but we do support the community. We do a lot with the food bank here in Dickinson. Right now, our Sons of American Legion unit is collecting food for food drives for not only Thanksgiving, but also Christmas. When we get done giving food for Thanksgiving, we'll start over again to get food for Christmas. So we try our best. We try to leave no man behind. Right? These gentlemen have more access to people who come back wounded. Leaving someone on the battlefield is not something that we're known for. We leave no man behind. And we hope that continues all this today. I'm not so sure that I will do that. So thank you all for having us.
One last parting thought. Dave's being modest. When he talked about the atomic stuff, Senator Tim Schafer recently came to our post and gave him a personal recognition from the state of Ohio for his participation in getting those people exposed rights like those of Agent Orange. So he did that.
The next person that we'd like to introduce to come up and say a few words is James Castro. James is from Strongsville, and he is the commander for the DAV, the Disabled American Vets here in Ohio. Thank you.
First, I want to start with DAV. I want everybody to say Disabled American Veterans so they know what I'm saying when I say DAV. Let's hear it now. Disabled American Veterans. Because Tom Cunningham and I go way back, and so many people would come up to us. We'd have DAV on our shirt or something, and they'd say, "Hey, you forgot the E." Dave, we know you, Dave. So that's why we want everybody to know. When I say DAV, that means Disabled American Veterans, and that's. I'm going to do a little different. I'm going to give you a little bit of a history lesson here. The DAV, we just celebrated 100 years of being in existence. You stop and think about that. How many organizations can say that, especially veteran organizations? And it all started right here in Cincinnati, Ohio. It was the year 1919. A judge named Robert Marks was meeting with a bunch of, I think it was a Christmas, and there were like 200 veterans that were meeting. And they were all talking about they weren't getting absolutely zero from the government. A lot of them had disabilities you want to talk about. Back then, in World War I, it was called shell shock and stuff like that, World War II. Today it's called PTSD, and we've done many studies on that. So I don't want to get into the PTSD too much. We have an expert here on that. But after they started meeting, they start realizing, the veterans were not being treated properly. And a lot of them was being turned away from the hospitals and stuff like that, because today we call them homeless. Back then they were veterans on street corners selling they had cups, selling pencils and stuff like that, because there was no insurance back there then. And this Robert Marks, who was a judge in Cincinnati, back then it was called the Superior Court. Today it's called the Supreme Court. We were in Franklin County back in Mark's day. It was right in Cincinnati, and even to this day, in the library is named in Cincinnati College. There, the library is named after Karl Marx, and that's pretty good being so long. But I'm going to pass this around so you can put a name on the picture. So after they started meeting, they started saying, hey, why don't we do something and try to get a veterans organization going? So Mark's being a judge, he probably had a little influence, he had a little bit of money probably also. So they decided in 1920 they would go to Detroit, Michigan and have their first conference. And they called it the Disabled American Veterans Conference. And Judge Marks was the first national commander they had. And from there, they started working with a lot of veterans. And I got to say that they fanned out. And after the first year, they were offered some property in Kentucky. In Kentucky, first it was in Cincinnati. They grew a little bigger. Then they were offered some free land. And I just met with the national commander of the DAV, and I said, why did they move to Kentucky? He says, because we got free land. And now they just moved again, and they're still in Kentucky. And if you're going south on 75, you'll see a big sign that says DAV right as soon as you get outside of Kentucky. I think it's about, or out of Ohio. It's probably about maybe 30, 40 miles right around there. And you look on the right, you'll see it. My wife and I just took a trip down here to see that. But I want to say that this organization has been around, and you just can't get into the DAV without having a service-connected disability. And our job, and I'll be honest with you, you've really got a jewel right here with Tom Cunningham. He's number one in the state of Ohio on helping veterans right now with disabilities. And sometimes even if they don't have, and they need a scooter, a wheelchair, or a lift, that they have a committee that will go and put that in free of charge. And let's give Tom a hand, because that's chapter 3. And they really do a good job. Right now we have 1.3 million members in the DAV. Now I know the COVID virus has been giving us a little bit of trouble here and there. We've lost some people, but right now nationally we have I think it's 1.2 million. It might be a little less. And in the state of Ohio we have 88 chapters. So and some of them are, I'd say, some of them are functioning pretty good, and some of them we're seeing are getting along. I'll be honest with you, because we're getting up in age. So if you know any young veterans that want to get involved, let us know, because any veteran out there that has a service-connected disability, we're more than glad to help them out. And being a Vietnam veteran, our motto right now is one generation of veterans will never forget the next. And that's what we've been trying to do. These young kids coming home, we want to help them get them on the right track as much as we can do. So, but I got to say one thing. Chapter 3 is the leading DAV chapter in the state of Ohio. They have done an amazing job, especially under Tom Cunningham and his chaplain there. They've done a fantastic job. And also, let you know that there's 800,000 veterans in the state of Ohio. And out of that 800,000 veterans, right now, it's pretty close to 62,000 females. And when you stop and think about that, you know, it's amazing because it's really hard to get a lot of female veterans to come forward, but they are now. I'm in Medina chapter 72, DAV, and we have 4 female veterans. We're not talking about auxiliary or anything like that. We're talking female veterans. And let me tell you something, one's a captain, one was a lieutenant, and then one was a staff sergeant. So they got our highest respect when they come into our organization. So I don't want to go on and on, but being a combat veteran in Vietnam, we always tell these young guys that are in the service today, if you get a scratch, you make sure and get it on your record and go to the medical. Because if you don't, you're going to have a rough time 5 or 6 years later proving that you got hurt in the service. And that's what our whole goal is. But at this time, I was in chapter 3. I was working for the Attorney General's office here. And this guy comes in and he's a lieutenant colonel. And we're thinking, this guy's going to be a tough guy, a hard guy. Because I was a sergeant. We had to keep an eye on those officers. But he came in, he did a fantastic job, he got us organized, and I'm so proud to be associated with Chapter 3 and Tom Cunningham and his chaplain here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person that I would like to introduce, Dr. Russell Clark, a Vietnam vet from 69 to 71, and I want to make sure I didn't date any of your relatives.
Well, good evening. It's an honor to be here tonight, and I appreciate the hospitality extended by the Pickerington Lions Club. I did some research, and by the way, Lions Club International started in 1917, so you're 2 years older than the DAV. I salute all veterans, of course, tonight, and I salute all veteran service organizations. I'm a life member of the VFW and the American Legion and the Military Order of the Purple Heart and the DAV, the Disabled American Veterans. And tonight I'm honored to represent our Chapter 3, Capital City Chapter 3 of the DAV, where I'm privileged to serve as the chaplain. A little bit more about that here in a moment. For 100 years, the DAV has followed a single purpose, and that is to build better lives for America's disabled veterans and their families. Our chapter has been privileged to be able to meet the needs and provide a quality of life for many veterans who have been injured, made ill by their service, disabled in any way through active duty. And just a brief litany of some of the things that we are able to do and have been able to do under Commander Tom's leadership, reaching out and improving the quality of life for a lot of veterans. We collect and store and deliver hospital beds, walkers, wheelchairs, lift chairs, stair lifts, ramps, power chairs, and all of this to improve the quality of life. In addition, we offer claims assistance to veterans who are in need of filing a claim with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We're able to do it. And one of the reasons I believe we do all this is to follow the vision actually set out for us by Abraham Lincoln back in his second inaugural address back in 1865. And this, by the way, is the motto of the Department of Veterans Affairs. With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right, let us finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds, to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan, and to do all that we may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations. We can go back to the beginning of our nation, in fact, even earlier than that, and we can find that the government of America, even the government of the colonies, promised to provide care for veterans who were disabled in one way or another by their service. Here's a little quote from the Plymouth colony back in 1636. It's written in Old English, but I'll try to modernize it. If anyone shall go forth and return maimed or hurt, he shall be maintained competently by the colony during his lifetime. And that's from the beginning. Those are our roots. That's our foundation as a republic. George Washington, the willingness with which our young people are likely to serve in any war, no matter how justified, shall be directly proportional as to how they perceive the veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by the country. That is another reason why we serve veterans. That's another reason why we reach out to those especially who have been wounded in some way or another. Commander Castro mentioned post-traumatic stress. That is one of my areas of specialty as I do my counseling and as I do my chaplaincy work, because I personally had a long, long struggle with what once was called shell shock or battle fatigue and post-traumatic stress. And it was through organizations like the DAV that I'm here tonight. I'll tell you more about that here in a moment. If you go down to Chillicothe to the medical center, down there, the VA medical center, you'll see a message that reads, "The price of freedom is visible here." As we look around, we find many veterans, and now especially some coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq, who are needing care. They're wounded in one way or another. Physically, yes, but also mentally and spiritually. And as a former United Methodist minister, I spent 25 years in the ministry. I know there is such a thing as a wound to the spirit, a wound to the soul. And that's something else that I personally take upon myself as a mission, because there is damage done in intense combat, in prolonged warfare. There is damage done to the body, mind, and spirit. More of my story right now, and I'm not going to be lengthy tonight. I was one of those veterans who had a successful career and a loving family. When I came back from Vietnam in 1971, I got on with my life. And I raised a family and I had a career in ministry. In fact, one of my churches was right up here in Bexley, Ohio, right up here in Columbus. I served there for 7 years back in a previous lifetime. But I went through a loss of career, a loss of family, and I ended up out in Seattle trying to start a new life. And out there, I was down to just about nothing. This is my own personal testimony. I know that God led me to a couple of good churches and good pastors, but the Lord also led me to a disabled American veterans office out there. And they nurtured me. They took me in, they supported me, they surrounded me with care, they helped me with my claim so that I could get back on my feet financially. And I'm here tonight because of the DAV. So when I came back to when I came back to Columbus, immediately I wanted to get involved in the disabled American veterans. I want to say 2 or 3 more things. We veterans have served. We know that we need to serve. We know it's important to have a strong military. Another member of our chapter and I this morning spoke to 2 classes at Gahanna Lincoln High School. I've done that other years on Veterans Day, and the young people there, the high school students, are filled with questions. And one of the things I told them after I thanked them for their patriotism, and after I saw the reaction to our talking with them, to our address to them, I saw a great hope for the future of our nation. And you can see it, if you're looking for it, you can see it. And not all is lost. There are young people who are filled with patriotism, they're filled with the determination to do something for our nation, to bring us together again. As Abe Lincoln said, bind our wounds, bring us together again as a nation. Sometimes we get war weary. We as a nation, certainly soldiers, Marines, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, get weary of war. There's one story toward the end of World War II. The troops were getting disillusioned and exhausted. And General Eisenhower, one of the greatest military leaders our nation ever produced, he overheard soldiers wondering about why they were fighting a long and brutal war so far from home. And he made a decision. He had all the battalions within 50 miles of the concentration camps travel to those camps that were just liberated to see the horror, to see the carnage, to see the aftermath of Nazi atrocities. That turned a lot of units around. Then they realized what we were fighting for. What we were fighting for was life, was quality of life, was freedom for many nations around the world. I'll end with one final story about gratitude. First of all, gratitude to the DAV, gratitude to all service organizations, but gratitude that was expressed to me back in the fall of 1969. I had just gone into Vietnam, and I was assigned to what we call a combined action platoon. In other words, because I spoke the Vietnamese language, one of the Vietnamese units was assigned to my platoon because I could understand what they were saying and they could understand me. And there was a little second lieutenant, a Vietnamese man named Lieutenant Nhu, N-H-U, and I'll never forget him. One night he was sitting on a rock with me, and we were looking up into the starlit sky, and we saw the moon up there, and it was just after the Americans had walked on the moon. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin on the moon, and I tried to explain that to him. He couldn't quite grasp that. Americans up there on the moon. But one thing he did grasp was what he told me. He said in his own language, and I can't speak it tonight fluently, but he said, you know, all this time, I've wanted to thank you, Americans, for what you're doing for us, to fight for our freedom. But I've not been able to tell any Americans that because they don't understand me. You understand me. So, Lieutenant Clark, I want you to tell your people, thank you from me. And that was from Lieutenant Nhu a long time ago, and so I'm conveying that to all the veterans, to all of you as Americans. There is gratitude when we are able to intervene and make a difference in lives. And as we take care of those who've come back from this service to our nation, we're doing it, we're grateful to do it, and I thank you for this opportunity to say this good word to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Folks, we have a problem. It's not in New York, it's not in Florida, it's not in California. It's right here in Columbus, Ohio, Pickerington. We have disabled vets that pledged their support for our military living on the streets and eating out of garbage cans. And to me, that just blows me away. So, thank you very much for everything you do, Tom. Thank you so much. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We're here to honor our veterans, but we're here to raise money for you guys. I did this earlier, and I don't know if I can do it again. I would like to pledge, the first pledge I would like to personally pledge is a pledge in my uncle's name. His name is Heath Harner. He's a Vietnam vet. And he passed away Sunday from vascular dementia. Now, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a specialist, but I don't know if that happened in Vietnam, but I know it didn't happen. I know it didn't happen. So I'd like to personally pledge to you $500 in the name of Heath Harner, and I thank you very much for what you do, so I appreciate it. Can you guys tell me what this is? You guys don't know. MREs.
C-Rats is all the heck.
C-Rats were before MREs. When you went through the line, you didn't have a chance to pick what you wanted. They just gave it to you and you went through, and how many of these I ate, it's amazing. This is the meal that our soldiers are fighting today. As you table up to your nice comfy table on Thanksgiving and smell that Thanksgiving turkey come out of the oven, our men and women of the service are eating this. So please, if you don't get anything else out of tonight, please show them some respect and some time at your Thanksgiving table and send them a prayer. Anything would be great. So thank you very much. Thanks everyone for coming. And gentlemen, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Phil, very much. Thanks all the speakers, appreciate that. Privilege to be in the same room. Okay. All right, so on to something fun, free raffle ticket. Got a question. 3 people can answer. Let's get some numbers out there. Who's brave enough to go first? How many? Anybody? Did I hear 3? How many? I heard 3 million. Next?
1.3.
1.3? Okay, you guys are way low. I'm going to get 2 more answers.
15 million.
I heard 15. 8, all right. What we got? Who said 15? Give that gentleman a, there you go. Raffle ticket right there. Okay. So I didn't serve, and I didn't serve, and this is not my story. I don't even know the guy's name. So I feel awkward sharing. I was debating whether or not I should, but it was just something that I saw, something that I heard, and I remember, and it kind of connects to why we're here tonight. So give it a shot. It was on the news. It was probably 10 years ago, and there was a panel of servicemen and women that I don't even know if it was Iraq or Afghanistan, and they were being interviewed. They were coming back home, and they were getting back into civilian life, and they were being interviewed. It was kind of like a bleacher set up with one of those long microphones where you kind of stick out there, and they all talk. And they were asked the question. Just the first round of questions was to introduce themselves. And like I said, there was about a dozen up on the bleachers, and they all did that. And then they got to someone on the side that was in a wheelchair. And he introduced himself and shared his story and talked about how he traded letters with his daughter back and forth, and how his daughter was learning how to play soccer and getting really good, and all she wanted to do was for him to come home and play soccer. All he wanted to do was come home and play soccer with his daughter. And so then the interview went on, and they were all asked, how did you overcome the challenge of coming back in civilian life? And they all gave their heartfelt, heartbreaking answers that you kind of imagine. And it was all about family, friends, community, people like us coming together, and organizations like the AV helping and supporting them. And then they got to the gentleman in the wheelchair, and she asked a very specific question. She asked, how did you overcome the challenge of knowing you would never play soccer with your daughter? And he kind of mumbled the words, "Dare me not," and I didn't really know what that meant. No one did there. And so the lady doing the interview said, "Can you say that again? I didn't hear you, and what did you mean?" And he said, "That's what I tell myself in the mirror, and that's what I tell people that ask me that question. Dare me not to play soccer with my daughter." So if that's the 1 out of the 18, what do the 17 out of 18 do when they're asked the question, can I, should I, will I give back to organizations whose sole purpose is to do nothing but help that one? And our answer is probably not no. It's not maybe, and it's probably not even yes. It's there is not. So with that, is anyone willing to raise their hand tonight? Any local businesses that came and pledge to donate to these organizations?
Yes, I'm donating on behalf of ERA Real Solutions Realty, $500.
Thank you, Juan. Yes.
Donate $50 for the Wolf family.
Thank you. Verb.
Oh, Duffy family, $100.
Duffy, 100. Okay.
The Fox family will give out $500.
Hi, Heather Newton with Heartland Bank and Big Success BNI. We will combined donation of $400.
I'd like to make a personal donation of $250 in honor of my brother, Neil Anklin.
Porter's Coffee House. Okay.
Capital Defense will donate $500.
Hi, President David. I believe the Lions Club also chipped in $250 to that.
Okay, the total for tonight raised for veterans is what? Over $5,000. That's a good night. So we're almost wrapping it up, so now's the time where we just kind of bring up any new club business. So if anyone has anything they'd like to bring up real quick, now is the time.
Can I just say something?
Yes. This might sound really crazy, but if you're a Lions Club member, when I was in the military, I got to do a humanitarian assignment, and we got to take the glasses from the Lions and actually give them to people. I had no idea what the Lions was, but I was a part of that, and I just want to tell you that was an amazing experience. So all those glasses approved. Yeah,
That's awesome.
approved. So I just want to tell you guys, it's like full circle for me to meet you guys all.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for coming. It was a great night. Appreciate everybody.